it's not as if you have to work with them alone. So, in the exercise that we did, meron sila tinatawag na verbs or implications wheel. For each of those scenarios, you ask, anong implication sa political condition? What will be the implication on the economics of the Philippines? Let's say, kung let's say, highly managed yung urban mo, management, at mababa naman yung population growth mo, anong implication niya sa political? Well, government will be loved by the people, right? And you will not have any restiveness, gano'n. Pag baliktad naman, high population growth, at tapos palpak ang gobyerno, you can imagine that the political situation will be very unstable. So, but how about the others? So that's the idea there. Eventually, what we want is, with your scenarios now, and with all of the considerations, what is your roadmap? Diba? Is it now possible to come up with the road? Can you identify, ito na yung headlines na sinasabi ni Glenn, what should the headline be like in food in 2050? Or in 2040? And in 2030? So parang billiard balls yan na i-align mo. What are these? After the scenario, this is the next step. What are these milestones that will lead you to this preferred future? In food, in environment, in energy, in water. So that's what we expect you, no matter how rough, to do now. Right? It's a 30-minute exercise. What are these? So you can do a diagram. I don't know, meron niyang arrow. Diba? There's an arrow that goes that way, except that it's too gray. It doesn't show. Okay? But you can just have 3 to 5 of these milestones. That's expected of, after doing this exercise for more than a day, we should be able to do that, right? In each of the dimensions we have. Okay. And then, well, this is something we do. I was facilitating a workshop, last week with Pisir. Pinag-usapan nila yung electrochemical conversion and storage devices. Ito yung kanilang roadmap. Di ba? So it's something that we do all the time. Except that yung roadmap nila hanggang 2024 lang. And nung tinetesting, sabi nung iba, dapat 30 years yan, hindi 40 years. Di ba? Masyadong, alam mo kung bakit, and which is what I told them, you are looking only at the core business process. You're only looking at the technology side. You're not looking at the balance scorecard, which is, what is the strategy? And who is in charge of this strategy? Diba? O yung mission. Diba? How about your stakeholders? Sino yung stakeholders nyo? In the workshop, we didn't even have a private sector person there. Okay? So yung mga ganon. And then, how about the finance? Where will the financing come? Will the Congress be coming up with the money? And then, of course, yung core business process, okay, nandyan na kayo. Pinag-aaralan niyo yan. But how about benchmarking? How about importing? How about reverse engineering? Are those valid strategies for a developing country? Or do we have to start everything from scratch, basically? And then learning and growth. How many people are here in this area? Oh, magbibilang mo sa 10 daliri yung people who are really expert in the area. For a nation of 110 million. Wow. And then you want to do this in 5 years. So, but sabi ko, if you consider all of the other factors, then this is going to be more realistic. Then na-realize nila that sa procurement pa lang. Diba? So you have to look at all of those, the balance scorecard factors. Iba pa yung 7S. Diba? which is what you use when you do your internal organizational scanning. Iba yung the steep pestle or steeples you use for external environment scanning. But for internal strategy, kumusta yung strategy ng Pilipinas ngayon? Kumusta yung systems natin? Kumusta yung structure natin? Kumusta yung staff natin? Sabi nila, the bureaucracy daw is overstaffed but undermanned. Diba? So sabi ko, paano nangyari yan? Overstaffed but undermanned. How about our skills? Yeah, but people can justify that. Why it's overstaffed? They can explain to you. And then, skills. Okay, we have the staff, but do we have the skills? Then, style. What is our leadership and governance style? Wow. Are we able to extract the best from our people? Then finally, shared values. What are our shared values? So, 7S, right? So what we're really saying is that, but you can see from the Malaysian model, kaya naman napaka-articulate ng kanilang diagrams kasi ipinasok na nilang lahat, kinonsider nila, and then meron silang mga keywords that represent all of these interrelationships. So yung mga diagrams natin, hopefully, will also be as complicated because we are considering and fine-tuning our scenarios in the future. Okay, so, we need to do road mapping. Ito yung sinasabi ni Glenn. You need to come up with a strategy diagram of necessary initiatives that will make your scenario happen. I did not draw the arrows because I don't want to presume I know the arrows. I'm just giving examples. Now, again, the initiatives are not only in the research field. They're not only in the science and technology field. The discussion so far has shown us that the political is, in fact, overriding. But a good way of making sure that you have a balanced plate is to use the balanced perspectives, which is, ano yung mission perspectives mo? Do you need new legislation? Do you have a strategy? So anyway, ito ay mga active verbs. So they are imperatives. Develop strategy and envision the cathedral, mission perspective. Envision the cathedral is to make sure that everybody, including your drivers, understand what the organization is in business in. Okay? Then financial perspective, generate new resources, get value for money, expedite procurement. What are those? Doon sa stakeholder perspective naman, determine customer needs. Sino ba talaga customer mo? And you have to engage new stakeholders. Who are the new people who can come in? Dito naman sa learning and growth, ang dami. Hire the best and the brightest, which we don't always do in government. You have to rehearse your systems. We have a lot of manuals, but we don't rehearse them. Bakit yung sa teleserye, di ba? They come up with scripts. Nire-rehearse nila bago nila i-perform. Tayo, walang performance eh. Walang rehearsal, performance ka agad. And not only that, we always try to scale up immediately. Walang piloting. Di ba? Which is why we need to benchmark, we need to rehearse. The other one is, nasaan yung knowledge emporium mo? Right? You have to have a knowledge emporium surrounding a particular area that attracts, magnetizes all of these people that you want to engage. Yun. Doon naman sa core business process, you always need to generate novel ideas. You don't slack them down. In fact, some companies, they give premium to people who keep churning new ideas. Okay? Scale up and wide, innovate core process, organize team and partners. Anyway, so, we need to do this, but we're not going to do that today. Ang hinahanap lang natin is yung 3-point to 5-point roadmap. Now, we need to discuss a little bit about disruptive innovation. I know you are already familiar with this in your own fields, but basically, A disruptive technology or disruptive innovation is an innovation that helps create a new market and value network and eventually goes on to disrupt an existing market and value network. Gaya ng internet, biglang nawala yung postal service. Di ba na kailangan yung postal service? The term is used in business and technology literature to describe innovations that improve a product or service in ways that the market does not expect. Although the term disruptive technology is widely used, disruptive innovation seems a more appropriate term in many contexts since few technologies are intrinsically disruptive. Hindi naman yung technology disruptive, it's the way you use it. Okay? Now, yung social innovation naman is the process of developing and deploying effective solutions to challenging and often systemic social and environmental issues in support of social progress. Example, there is a book by McKinsey also, it says social innovation. In Africa, they found out that a good substitute for incubators is bubble wrap. Bubble wrap, yung plastic na pinuputok-putok natin, will keep a baby warm. Right? So, and then, of course, we are familiar with the life straw. Right? Nanotechnology, saksak mo in the dirtiest water, sipsipin mo, by the time the water gets to your lips, it's potable. $30. It's nanotechnology. So what we're really saying is that we're already doing this, but we're not doing enough. But why is it that is not available to us now in the Philippines? So we need to identify the disruptive innovation. So what I'm really saying is that when we log frame, pwede bang don't look at anything usual, think of a disruptive innovation, a jumpstart project that will help bring about that future that you have scenario. What is it about health that is disruptive? What is it that we can do in health that will give the Philippine a 100-year lifespan? Yan, di ba? So, yun yung log frame natin. Mas exciting yun kaysa dun sa bibili tayo ng equipment. Diba? So, think of something really disruptive and really innovative and really responsive. And I have some examples here. Tinitignan ko yung food and nutrition. Sabi nila ngayon, it's not only removing sugar and sodium from food. Sabi nila, it's now personalization. Bigla ko naalala yung video ni Sherman kahapon, yung each individual will have an individualized car. But here, you're talking about individualized food for you based on your needs. Siguro kasama na din yung gamot na iniinom mo. Hindi mo na kailangan inumin yung food mo. Pagdating sa'yo, naka-Colgate na siguro or something. Pipirisin mo na lang into your mouth, right? Like the astronauts. Anyway, so, and I heard somebody who was talking about delivering food to our soldiers in West Philippine Sea, na hindi sila makaluto, and then they have to have their food for 1 whole week, na hindi nasisira. Yun, disruptive yun. Kasi nawala yung mga islands natin kasi nag-birthday party in one island, iniwanan nila yung isla, pagbalik nila nandun na yung Vietnamese. I mean, I'm not kidding. These are real stories in many of those islands that we hold. So that's as far as food is concerned. It is so much energy. Ito, ang dami. Diba? Available now on conventional gas, electric vehicles, advanced ICE, solar LED. After 2020, grid scale storage. Wow. Diba? Digital power conversion, compressor-less air conditioning, and electrochromic windows. Clean fuel, biofuels, electric fuels. And how to make them available. Ang government says, meron tayo, it's available. Yes, but how many percent of the, it's always that the supply as against the total demand is always. We always say, ang police, hindi, nagpapatrolya na yan. Pero ilang pinapatrolya nila? Ilang percent? Palagi ganun ang tanong. What is your accomplishment in relation to the total need? And how do you compare with other countries? Anyway, in water, sabi nila, new business models and policy frameworks. Kaya yung alam kong water company, binibili niya yung mga local water districts. 100 of them already. Right? I will not mention. But it's a prime example of what is happening. It's a prime example of what's happening out there. Right? As if, akala natin, Metro Manila lang may problema sa tubig. Wow. Wait a few years. Then, so with those ideas, let's come up with these 3 or 4-point roadmap, milestones. Think of them as headlines. Gaya nga sabi ni Glenn, that's a very good idea. Diba? Ang penultimate mo is, Filipino lifespan now 100 years. Ganda. Hanep.
Retirement yung 100.
Ano retirement age ulit? Yung working week natin, di ba natin babawasan yung working week natin? Oh, di ba? Maybe 3-day work week na lang. Okay. And then, so yung domestic tourism natin, 2 days in a week, we are out there gallivanting and enjoying ourselves. Okay. So, only that, yung 3 to 5 point roadmap, and then, ito na yung lot film natin. So, you decide what is your envisioned societal impact. Kung ilalagay ninyo yung scenario impact ninyo, baka masyadong malayo. So, gumamit na kayo ng mga 10-year, or maybe something that you imagine to happen within the next 10 years, 2030. Yun ang ilagay ninyong envisioned societal impact. Okay, A1. And then, by the way, you have the copies of this, right? You have copies of this. And then, ito, target organizational outcome. Imagine we always belong to organizations. Don't imagine you're working alone. So for NAST, or for NRCP, or for DOST, or for AFP, or for DOH, or for PGH, what is that disruptive social innovation that you are going to produce in contribution to that societal impact? And then think of what is your jumpstart project. If you had 300 million cash advance now, what are you going to spend it on? A project that will jumpstart that social disruptive innovation that will lead to your societal impact. And what are the 3 to 5 major tasks that you need to do in that project? Simple, right? So that's just the first thing you need to do. Get that vertical alignment. And then, the horizontal alignment is where we try to control. That's the control logic. Making sure that what happens is what we intended to happen. So, the first task is maglagay ka ng success indicator at maglagay ka ng target. Okay? Kung 100 years life, if you're looking at the lifespan in number of years, ano na kaya sa 2040? So is that the way you count? Or do you count the reduction in trips to the hospital? Reduction in the amount of medicine taken because the person is intrinsically healthy? So, yun. Or do you count it in terms of the budget of the government for health? So, different success indicators. One way of dealing with this is, para hindi ka naman bolchak agad, maglagay ka ng high, medium, low. Di ba? Kasi kung isa lang nilagay mong target, at bawas ka ng konti, fail ka. Pero maglagay ka ba ng high, medium, low, Hindi mo na maabot yung medium, pero tumama ka doon sa low, pero ma-accomplish ka. Okay. And then, means of verification, hindi pa masyado importante yan, but in cases where there is a lot of fake news, di ba? A lot of legacy figures floating around, you need to have a good and credible verification system. But the most important, because we are doing foresighting and we are dealing with uncertain variables, ito ang pinaka-importante. What can go wrong? What are the assumptions that do not hold? Diba? So, actually, the biggest area for creativity is that part. So, you please do this on a one-page sheet of paper, or if you want to be a little bit kindergartenish, we have Manila paper. And we have meta cards. Oh, you can use those Excel sheets, di ba? Ilagay ninyo dyan sa tabi ninyo para as you discuss, may nagdo-drawing. Oh. So, you just, ganito lang. This is exactly what we need. Plus the arrow with 5 milestones. 3 lang ba? Okay. 3 milestones. Okay? Do you have any questions? So this is very simple. And we do this all the time, right? Yes.
For the logical framework, we do that for every milestone or the final milestone.
No, only one. You choose one. Well, yung ating Envision Societal Impact, okay na yun, di ba? Itong organizational outcome, you already are thinking of this social innovation disruptive. Pero itong expected project output can be one of your milestones, can be one of your early milestones, or a project that will lead to that.
Kasi di ba, usually we think of output as more short-term,
Yes.
and outcome a little bit longer, and then impact the longest.
Yes, that's right. Which is why nilalagay ko ng peg na pag-impact yan, society yan. Society level. But outcome, organizational level or sector level. Yung output is a project
So
level.
in terms of time and organizational level, or only one of those?
Well, I leave it to you because you might have a very specific project in mind that is so disruptive, di ba? For instance, yung mga paperless, o gaya ng IoT, di ba? IoT, an IoT organization. It does not matter whether you are in Taguig, in Bikutan, because DOST is IoT enabled. Basta, ang importante, you show us the hierarchy. You show us the vertical logic and you show us the horizontal logic. Okay, plus the 3-point roadmap. Okay, so the 3-point roadmap in 30 minutes and this one in 1 hour, so that's it. Or less. Yes, sir.
We're going to finish first yung hindi namin natapos kanina.
Pag nagawa na natin ito, pagtataliin ni Glenn mamayang alas 4.
Kasi importante yung the most important thing actually as of now is yung 200 to 300 word scenario sa spoken issue. Yun ang pinaka-importanting output as of now because that's just the workshop. Scenario building is ito, no? That's the output that needs to be delivered, no? And later on na yung mga stage 9 and 10, kami na mag-ano doon. And may survey babalik sa inyo yung mga vulnerabilities.
I don't know kung kami na lang hindi nakagawa itong stage 6 or what. Yung mga nagawa niyo ba lahat?
Nagawa na. Okay. So Nagawa na niya. So, that's the most important. The 2 to 300 word scenario, which is actually based on the causal diagrams that you have linked together. But at the point, it's descriptive. No? It could be a newspaper headline, and that's it. The 30-year period, and the population should be there. Okay. Importante kasi that's the first output of this workshop, this training. Importante. Okay.
Patatalin mo mamaya yan. Yes.
Habang ang buhay, sirapin mo.
Kasi na lang gagawin yan.
Nirahan natin.
Milestones para natin sa ating
Yeah. That's right. Yes.
Actually, totoo eh. Just having, just raising the average IQ.
Yes.
Diba?
Sila ako pinasukan. Hindi pinatunggat niya. Yung palapit mo. Kaya butas na yung nakakapinto.
Ano na ang staff?
Yung pala yung mga
Balikan na naman natin itong variable.
mga essays nila are cadet astronauts from Cape Canaveral.
So you can attack it from technology, you can attack it from manpower, education. Yun ang nakakatakin mo ngayon sa problema. It could be what? Technology, yung sabihin, security, for education, there is going to be a standard education for traffic management, for drivers.
you have your outputs written up?
The government did not invest.
I mean, do you have your roadmap and your log frame?
Kaya mo noon na.
Wala pa. Ako daw.
Pero nakasalanan po kasi
We have the scenario.
sabi niya.
The scenarios. Okay. Let's do this fast. How many ESL sheets do we have?
So I don't know how much she will start.
Okay. My suggestion is we have 2 simultaneous presentations. Okay? Na take 10 minutes each. They present their roadmap and they present their lot frame just so we get the logic and feel of it. We don't have to present for everybody.
Okay.
So ilagay natin yung isa doon, yung isa ilagay natin dito, and then you also have... Yeah, okay. Okay, so we have 3 groups. And then all the others, especially you have to disband because naiintindihan dito, di ba? You become audience in the others. Okay, so don't listen to your own group. Punta kayo sa iba. Para lang ma-appreciate natin, kasi na-appreciate mo na yung ginawa nyo, mag-appreciate ka pa ng isa. So that we have a richer understanding of the process. And then, ask questions, please. Now we want to do this in 10 minutes, so everybody will be engaged. So even those who did not make any presentation can participate.
When do we eat
How about
Yeah.
How about when big group? Can we have 3 presentations of 10 minutes each? That's it. Within the 30 minutes will be over.
Oh, sige.
Or question would this be 1 minute? That's 12 minutes per group. That's it. In fact, we can appreciate as a big group. This is actually yes.
Okay, sige. Okay, sige. So we have 3 groups.
30 minutes.
Okay. So can we start with the volunteer? Let's start with the PowerPoint presentation. Okay, PowerPoint presentation. Maximum of 10 minutes. 7 minutes.